But welcome everybody. That was a great warm up. Nobody has to know what happened in that. That was just a thing that it's nobody's fault. Hi, I'm Jason. The channel is probably okay. I'm designing a game with my friend Sam.
Of all the people whose fault it wasn't mine the most.
Um,
No, I will take on all blame. I'm happy to be a goat that wears capes.
uh,
I want to be a stylish little goat.
a caped goat. Is it? Where?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to and then I can caper. Isn't the Greek derived root for goat like the caper, or is that the Latin?
Uh, I'm not sure. I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure who to assign that to.
Yeah.
Um,
So the
so
capes are built in, like deep linguistic. We've known for thousands of years. You put capes on the goats. That's all I'm saying. It's all I'm
yeah.
saying. Hi, I'm Sam Belev.
Um,
That's my intro. God dang.
So last time we were looking at our magic system and getting that to work. Um, and I had a horrible idea about something completely different this week
Okay.
with the Weaver system of magic
hmm
of, having two things that you have to combine. Um, is it at least two or exactly two
At least two.
in the Weaver system?
For more powerful, as you level up within weaving, you can get, I think it's a total of five aggregates. Ultimately, I believe at their upper end, and you would have to check me against the key, which is like the most players manual of the four books
Would
for the base system.
would you want to see that level of complexity in this, or do we want to keep it at two, or what, just because of that essence of like, ooh, about balance and finding the middle and all that sort of thing. um
So the reason that for more powerful spell that like as you level up you get access to more aggregates is obviously the versatility, and I think that makes sense in any kind of system that uses this. Only ever having a total of two in your inventory, too restrictive, no opportunity
oh
for
yeah.
advancement, feels bad. Okay. But also your question is, okay, do you make a spell out of 3, which is also a trait of the Weaver system. Now, why for more powerful spells do you want 3 or maybe 4? The argument would presumably be that you're now dealing with more absences.
Hmm. Yeah.
That when you deal with something more powerful, you have to intertwine 3 different things conceptually while excluding a broader set of things. And there is something aesthetically attractive to, like, I understand why that makes sense as a check on the higher level of power, and offer like, yeah, more complexity, more difficulty makes sense within the logic of the world, and we concur among the
Yeah.
canines.
The thing I was thinking is there's a degree of this where uh like I have to imagine in the Weaver system, like everybody is playing a mage. Is that right? Like of some kind?
That is correct.
Yeah. And so then the buy-in for a level of complexity is really high. And I could imagine there's a balance here where like we want to give the dragon mage something to do, but we're also balancing that against like a fast and fun play style that is not PBTA fast and fun. That's okay. We gave that up. Like knowledgeably and with malice aforethought. Um, we let that go. I will never design another PBTA game, but not because I don't like demigods, but because I don't like the prescription, the prescribed ways of play. Um,
That's
so,
perfectly reasonable. Also, you can have had enough, and
yeah,
that doesn't necessarily negatively reflect on anything.
yes, exactly.
If you can have
So
enough pizza, you can have enough PBTA. It's fine.
I was thinking if we have okay, players can cast spells with 3, 4, 5 different magic types. Will that grind their turn to a halt as they sort through their permissions and gauche and um or in your experience is that not the case?
There are confounding factors there. Because I've only seen a couple of players and like the amount of time one takes on one's turn is also very individual.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
I can entirely have conceived of what I saw at the like descriptively. I know at least one player whose turn took a very long time. Yes, I'm that might have been contingent, and another player who admittedly was very preparation minded was much more zippy. This is the way of things. Um, and there is already some built-in taking up some freaking time because anything that requires negotiation with a GM devours time.
Right.
It's an absolute time suck.
Right.
Which thankfully we're minimizing for a lot of other play styles in combat at least.
Yeah.
Out of combat, like crafting is going to get right back to that very soon, all that stuff. But yeah, you want to keep things zippy. Is more are aggregates what do that in the Weaver system? I don't think so. I think the justifying them is not the time suck. Unless you think the GM's gonna like start having problems and now you have more back and forth. At the same time, I think the best argument for keeping it down to 2 in our system is how much design space do you want the magic system to take up compared to other play styles?
Yeah. That was
More
also on my
aggregates,
thought on my head.
more
Yeah.
heft, and unless this is an obligate system, in which case it should be broken out of the skill system and
Right.
not treated as if it had equal weight. A good way to balance it would be to keep it to two
Yeah.
traits and then increase versatility. The only question then is, okay, does that break that nice power level balancing that happens at higher levels? I think the fact that our advancement also comes with improved to hit rate, right? Because you're adding to your dice.
Mhm.
But not necessarily to higher level, to more powerful outcome.
Right. I could even imagine somewhere, deep in a talent tree that's like, hey, you can put a third magic thing in there, and then that person has committed and made the promise to think about their magic shit before their turn.
Yeah, it could be a capstone.
Yeah.
A third could be a capstone. What would it? We'd have to figure out what that got you in terms of magnitude of output, because again, all we're getting from advancement right now is like increase to the skill bonus to hit, not like number of d6 per fireball. We have
Right.
not built that into advancement outcome, and I think that's where the aggregates have to balance, like how
Yeah.
many d6 versus how many plus on your d20,
Yeah.
thinking not literal.
Can I tell you about the terrible idea I had this week?
Yes, please.
So taking a Weaver type system, making a hopefully just for one shots, um, a corporate mage
Mhm.
system in which you have your um alignments and out of scope components and having different departments of like, here's your accounting magic, here's your IT magic, here's your HR magic, and then the things that are aligned with HR, the things that are out of scope for HR, and
Damn.
I never thought I would be a proponent for evil gameplay, but you know, or it could even leverage it into a academic setting of like departments.
Save it. I think we might want to put this idea into the GM section of the book. That
Yeah.
sounds really good for like a boss style major NPC type character. Because you're not like, we're gonna freaking keep it simple as hell
Yeah.
for minions. Like they don't GMs aren't leaving for minions. But this could potentially be very interesting enough that like
Yeah.
that fits in this world, just not for players. Although, oh, then you can heist an aggregate. Heist a magic style.
Oh, you mean like go into a company and like steal their grimoire on accounting
Or
and
however it ends up being transmitted, like, how one comes upon this
yeah.
knowledge from the human end is kind of open-ended. But like that is
I want
I
to
like giving rewards for missions that offer advancement, but also maybe some downtime study to integrate. I
yeah.
like that. So
The hard drive of shadows. Thank you, Steffi. Yeah. Thumb drive of the dead.
yeah, that describes Office life.
Yeah.
So yes, please hang on to your terrible idea. It's just not going in the player facing material. That's not to say it'll for sure fit, but I think that I think we should hang on to it. It might have a place. We'll find out.
HR, accounting, marketing. Because all of those have a sinister thing, right? Like HR has like a sinister like what do you call the big picture blowing smoke up your employees' asses? Telling them that it's raining, but you're actually pouring other stuff on their heads.
I mean, I think that one's nice and self-evident from your description.
Yeah. Marketing, can be the toxic, just gaslighting.
And presumably there can be some very there is when playing a Weaver style magic system, the additional versatility of having more aggregates is tempting and acquisitive.
Yeah.
And so the idea of replacing one's own human side with a corpo one in order to make a weave has mechanical appeal on I can do more versatile things, but could also have very interesting consequences.
Yeah. Be right. Thank you for subscribing. As Sam can confirm, there is an old joke returning and also a tedious catchphrase used by said joke. What could that be? Right? You didn't guess? Then be right back. Yeah. Top notch. That's mwah.
Good to see you. So yes, I endorse the terrible idea. I would like to maintain the terrible idea as we build out this system because I think we might like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think players might like it and shouldn't. So I like it more.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it could be delightfully terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the dragon types are I think ostensibly limited by the types of dragons we're including in the game. Okay. Um, and then we're gonna have human types. Do we want a sort of neutral type, or is that part of the human? Like, I was thinking mind, body, spirit for human, but like, do we have a combat type or something, or do many of these have something related to combat? Um, like what? How would you
What
picture
does it
that?
mean to be related to combat?
Well, right, yeah. I mean,
Well, no,
does
because I mean the key thing about weaving things is like, what conceptually do you want to convey?
right,
And you choose abstractable things, often strong symbols. Um, so things that like, aggregates can include heart, freedom,
right.
but also like diamond, which is a physical thing, yes, but has a bunch of thematics on it. And so what we choose for the humans gives us tons of flexibility,
Yeah.
and therefore I would argue should be approached from like a pretty definitive philosophy of what goes in that basket.
Yeah.
Not just necessarily on how we expect them to be used, because a good weaver system should should put figuring out how to make combat out of it entirely on the player's end.
Hmm.
Right? You tell me how these two aggregates come together to Wapow.
Yeah.
And if you've chosen like toward that, you'll be able to do that just fine.
Yeah. My assumption is that there are many right ways to do that. Um,
That we don't really have to consciously build toward.
yeah, I agree.
Because like,
Um,
if you put together strength and rock and you have like a stone fist come out of the ground and punch someone, I don't
right.
yeah.
Or you use that exact same combination to make a shield, right?
Right.
Like that
Like,
could
so
certainly
or
be
you just do it for terrain control, right? These are abstract enough, they should be able to figure out the functional implication. That is such a them problem.
I'm gonna
Thinking of
answer
players as them is really funny for me.
I'm gonna answer B Right's question, but I think there's a secret joke in there that I don't get. So while I'm answering this, maybe you can think about what I'm missing. Thank you for the bits, first of all. We've gone to great lengths so far to pare our dragon types down to a more sort of conceptual. Here are the types of dragons we think cover what you're thinking of, and
Mhm,
if the dragon type you suggest would fit into one of these or could be shoehorned into one of these, that's kind of where we're going with right now.
mhm.
um but otherwise you're more than welcome to suggest stuff, but I feel like there's a pun that I'm missing. Sam, do you know what it is?
Hang on. I'm a bad streamer. Give me a minute.
um
Come on, chat. Why chat doesn't populate? I missed the question.
so B Right says, along with 500 bits, how keen are you to see a new dragon type on a scale of 1 to 10? um
I don't know that there. I mean, other than the possibility of QWERTY-based operations, which I would be very eager to observe. Like
QWERTY.
there is a literal set, like a dragon type or a
Oh,
dragon
right. Okay.
that
Sure.
presents itself to me. I can't speak to authorial intent.
New skin for the character making a weighty joke. I don't know what's wrong. I am uh completely in the wrong field for whatever this game is. Um but Steffi mentions that in Vampire you have face disciplines and combat disciplines that can make it very awkward to play certain clans in a combat focused game and others in a face focused games. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't. I also find that frustrating. And what I hope is with the Weaver style magic, you can have a bit of both. Like you can have that strength and earth be a weapon. It could be a boulder that you're throwing. It could be a shield. It could be strength and earth. resisting somebody's manipulation, right? Like, I don't know how to shoehorn that one
Right.
in, but
The
like,
whole point is it should reward creativity and possibly a little bit of sophistry.
right. And
Like, it's you are what you can convince your GM about.
right.
This type of system, it should be said, is made for people who like to interact and are comfortable doing so in which is very different than I think many systems reward. Well, the blue player thinking,
Blue player?
and from Magic the Gathering, like,
Oh,
and in
yes.
general, Magic card style thinking of, that which is not forbidden may be permitted, or that which is permitted is not forbidden. Very
Right.
axiomatic approach
Right. Like, I
of like, well, I
consider
can get this power because it says I can.
right.
Um, which is simply a very different mode of thought than any Weaver approach.
And something we've been looking for a way around or to avoid is the overly prescribed grimoire, the
Exactly.
player's handbook spell book of this is fireball. This is what it does every time you cast it, and it only does this when you cast it.
Yeah.
That is the same with Shadowrun spells. It's the same with Vampire the Masquerade's abilities, disciplines, and whatnot that you like. That is a list of prescribed things that work exactly in the way they say they do.
Which honestly has much more of a place in something like computers or crafting.
Yes, yeah. Um,
The idea of input output works very beautifully in a paradigm of scientific thinking.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but and I think I hasten to add it because as I even point out that like the rules minded folk will not find what they're looking for in this magic system the way that they will in many others.
yes, yeah,
Nonetheless, I wouldn't mind designing toward that kind of thinking in other domains of the game because one, I like them,
yeah,
and two, I think that like there's nothing intrinsically inappropriate about it, and in fact is just comfy for many people's style. It can be very comforting to know what you're actually allowed to do and like what isn't too much of an imposition, and like it can give you the confidence to have power level.
yeah. Well, and I like
So
something that I didn't look too deeply into the Weaver system because I was also like, oh, I love this conceptually. I don't want to dive deeper now and then be just copying it. And but something I know that Mage does, where they
Mhm.
said like, here's your 9 spheres and the 5 levels of each sphere, and at the first level you're detecting it, and at the second level you're understanding it, at the third level you're changing it, blah blah blah.
Right.
But even within all of that very amorphous, narrative player bullshit, which I love,
Mhm.
there is a grimoire that says, hey, if you have forces 1 and space 2, you can lob a firebolt.
Right.
Cool. Right?
Yeah.
Like it gives you a scale of what all those things mean. And I think it's very easy for us to do a few pages of examples in the book, right? Of
I think you are highlighting a feature that we didn't get to last week, but is present in both Mage and Weaving Magic. And as I have thought through the design of these systems, over years of encountering Invisible Sun, for instance, I have become convinced is critical to the performance of these styles, which is to be very explicit about what level of outcome, what magnitude of outcome can be permitted of a given power level. So you're talking about spheres, and Mage is how they solve that, how they give, okay, what are your limitations?
right.
Which is not suggested in terms of magnitude, only in terms of kind
Yeah.
by the Geisha. But you need both kinds of limitations in Invisible Sun. all of the magic is constrained by a universal effects by level table
Uh-huh.
that unites all of the various magic systems in their understanding. There are many roads, but that system asks, okay, what do you actually want to do mechanically? Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, we can do something in fiction, and there will be levels of things you can do in narrative. But if you want to do something to this many hit points, you've got to be doing something of this kind of scale. If you want to
Right.
do that kind of, like, eventually you do have to translate it into what does it do to numbers.
Right.
And Mage solves that in one way, Invisible Sun solves that another way. And I don't think it is possible to have this kind of system without structuring in that kind of manner.
Yeah.
Unless you want to prescribe simply, like, there is one magnitude of magic that anyone can do,
Mhm.
which is possible. Like, you can say, you know, magic is cantrips, but you can do more cantrips and more accurately.
Yeah.
That's perfectly, or even, scaling. If you just think of this magic system, which again is just a skill,
Uh-huh.
it's like at the same scope as, like, um what um
We don't have any other
I
skills in the game.
street I was trying to remember what we had for the nature thing, and, like, animal handling kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
like
Uh
druid shit. There we go. Like, it's
Scrolled
the same
right to
skills.
druid shit.
There we go. Ah, lucky you. Like, streetwise.
Yeah.
Ostensibly, the magic system does not take up more room than streetwise, and you should be able to make characters of equivalent impact in the world by focusing on one versus the other.
Right.
So if one wanted to say this does, like, cantrips, and you can do more diverse cantrips and more accurately, and that's what it means to be in this skill system, I think that is it creates a logic within the balance
Yeah.
of skills. Um, at which point you don't need to prescribe effects by level because you're not really doing different. You can't do bigger stuff.
Right. We're just setting a tone that says this is basically what magic does, right? And if you roll a natural 11, cool, this one goes to 11, right? Like you're gonna get extra benefit, but here's the scope in which that happens. And I've always used examples like, there's a social contract at the table that D&D enforces explicitly. I think that's the right word. It circumscribes and describes everything you can do with magic, and
Yes.
anything that's not described is not possible, right?
Yes.
Like that's the
Yes.
implication there.
Yes.
Then in a game like Mage, it's they do a bunch of examples to say like, here is the scale and scope of what's possible.
Mhm.
Go nuts. But that comes with a social contract that says like, this maybe isn't technically out of scope, but like I agree to not say like I pull a miniature tank out of my pocket, and as I throw it, it grows to full size and it's fully automated and it drives itself and shoots my enemies. Like there is a level in Mage where you could kind of explain your way to that. Um, but is functionally a social faux pas, you
Well,
know?
my understanding is that mage's control against that, and this is a difference from Invisible Sun, is through narrative consequence. That it increases some sort of badness
Sure. Yeah, there's
in that
backlash and yeah.
system, because one is going beyond that which could be justified in a rational system if it were to be empirically observed, or if it were empirically observed. Like, it's really an epistemological enforcement, which
Right.
is
Yeah.
beautiful. Like, I think that's very beautiful
Yeah.
as an idea. But, like, it's not just a faux pas. It also arrogates unto the GM the right to enact consequence in proportion to the distortion.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
there may also be some mechanical stuff that goes on, but I've never played mage. I can't be held responsible for mage.
the other component of this, which so the partly I bring that up because I'm 100,000% on board with Steffi's comment of like I'd like a guideline to be able to say clearly that's too far, right? Like you and I both read the same rule book, and that is too much, my friend,
Yep.
right? Like, and with love and affection, this is too
Yep.
much, right?
Yep.
And then to pair that, B. Wright says Charles Miller had a magic boat, like that doesn't tell me that's the faux pas realm, right? Like, is it a magical Star Destroyer boat level of, is it an aircraft carrier or is it a foldable boat from D&D, which I fucking love? And, the,
There's
the
also like within D&D, the social contract states anything that is from the GM is permitted.
yes. Yeah.
Whereas I think here we are talking about that which is narratively instantiated by the player.
Yes.
Um and
And
how much they like can do without requiring special sanction from on high.
right. It like in D&D and Shadowrun, and I'm trying to think of other prescriptive magic
That which is not
systems.
permitted is prohibited.
Yes. Um the those systems do not invite the player to make shit up, right?
No.
And so when you do invite the player to do so, like in Mage or Invisible Sun, then you do need a guideline, right? You need
Mhm.
something that says, hey, yes, please make shit up, but understand you don't have a nuclear bomb in your pocket. And
Right.
that's not what we're asking you to do, right? We're asking you to agree to the social contract. And here is the social contract. Like it shouldn't
Right.
be nebulous, right? You shouldn't have to guess and
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to feel bad when somebody says, hey, I'm not sure that's within scope of this
Yeah.
project. Um,
Yeah.
um,
I think what I learned from at least my like study of the effects by level table is that we should be explicit about the capacity of the magic system to interface with any mechanical element and to be very clear about what is required to do how much. Like anytime you're playing with hit points, right? Because here's the thing, you can say you've got a nuke in your pocket, but if you can't actually do more than 3 points of damage with it, then that nuke in your pocket is entirely narrative. What's
sure.
going on is you're trying to use the narrative power and like our mutually agreed upon assessment of the implications to try to claw more mechanical impact than you actually should be getting. And
Yes.
so wherever it starts interfacing with a mechanical system, it should be explicit. And then that gives you narrative freedom because, frankly, if you can't get more than X hit points,
Right.
you can't try to con your way to more than that.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
say con very lovingly as
yes.
a rules
Yes.
lawyer attorney at rules.
Yes, we are all players here sometimes, and
Yeah. And some of us all of the time. And this also lets one be confident in what one can do.
sure,
Like I am allowed to describe anything I can convince you of to do 3 points of damage.
right,
However, we get there, and like you're going to be fine with it because I'm entitled to do 3 points a day. So then we get to slightly more fuzzy territory of influencing the world narratively.
hmm
How much can you do? Can you do something that changes a small area or a medium sized area? Like, how much stuff can you like build a wall in the world?
right,
That doesn't have numbers, but it should still have constraints, but definitely fuzzier.
right,
And those I think also benefit from some understanding of what you can do
hmm
because not everything interfaces with numbers.
right, right.
So those are
Especially
the two
if
aspects where I think there should be structure.
Yeah.
and to what degree?
So with that understanding, I don't think we have to necessarily have that fully described to go into our magic types and start listing some permissions and gauge. Um,
No,
how do you
absolutely
feel
not.
about that?
Those are separate things. Like the conceptual motifs and symbols and everything
Right.
are separate from the impact system
Yeah.
as described by the spheres or the effects by level table. Distinct.
But I think that conversation was also exceptionally useful for describing why we don't have a combat magic type, right?
Yes.
That's an effect, not a type of magic, right?
Exactly.
Uh, so,
Yeah.
um,
Although I'm sure there will be some things that lend themselves, like, some types are going to kind of be conducive toward this or that, and that's perfectly lovely and fine.
sure.
That's buildcraft, baby.
So what one thing I was thinking about under arcane, just as we were working on it quickly, we had listed
Mhm.
alchemy and artifice, and I was starting to think about the concept of these magics being like half of this magic comes from dragon potency, and half of the magic comes from um humanness, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I wonder if something like a permission of artifice, it shouldn't be in the human side. Instead, like the dragons aren't thinking in terms of artifice, it's their combination of magic and human ingenuity because the dragons aren't fully sapient. They're not like building devices. They're just interfacing with energy and ideas and that kind of shit. Um how do you feel about that?
Um, I mean, one, yes, I don't think they belong in dragon types. Two, I would encourage us to be more abstract.
Yes, I agree. So what we want is a combination of dragon type and human magic that results in artifice or alchemy or can
Right.
result.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's an outcome implemented in the world. Thematically, what does it mean to be arcane? What are the vibes of arcane?
right. Um so um let's where would you like to jump in today?
Um, no, let's do arcane.
Okay.
Just
It's
because
one of my favorite parts of this to think about. So when I'm thinking about arcane, I'm thinking about uh like the secrets of how magic works, like the
I think
fundamentals.
secrets is a good permission.
Okay, secrets. So I'm going to take out telekinesis, Wi-Fi, co-location. These are two specific
I would concur with that.
secrets. And there is no other, well, let's say magical secrets because it's not like
Oh, secrets.
Sally's secrets. No? Okay.
Well, because um, think of a spell produced by combining secrets and wind. A little whisper told me. Get information,
Yes.
right?
So,
Like keeping this abstract enough that it can actually do things magically,
okay. So
right? It has to be able to produce a range of outcomes.
I was also imagining, and I want to get your take on this,
Mhm.
right? In my
Yes.
head this week, I've been thinking, okay, yes, you can combine two types. You can combine a dragon type and a human type of magic
Yes.
to
I
to
was
do
just
that.
looking at two aggregates
Yeah,
in front
okay,
of me because we haven't built human aggregates.
that's
Um,
fine. I just wanted to make sure we're thinking of the same thing as
yes.
we build this out.
Absolutely, but yeah. I was just like just for the sake of thing, I think restricting to magical secrets unnecessarily restricts like keeping it like let me put this differently. I like the level of abstraction that weaving can provide. I don't tend toward making it too yep, yeah.
Maybe knowledge is even better. That remove secrets and just put knowledge there.
Um I think at minimum either secrets or mysteries.
Oh, mysteries. Yeah, that I like. or just
Something
mystery.
different is conveyed by
Yeah.
mysteries than by secrets, but
Yeah.
also than by knowledge.
Because
Um,
also this could be imposing mystery, right? Of like, now I'm hiding knowledge
could
or
be.
or
Well,
whatever.
so we'll have to see what the Geisha are. What is not implied by arcane? In fact, I might I might be inclined to put knowledge as a Geisha for arcane if one conceptualizes knowledge as that which is publicly known, in contrast to a secret.
Hmm. Well, it's interesting because sometimes the Weaver permissions have the aggregates. That's what the
Mhm.
aggregates have a short phrase, right? So like
Yes.
what if the geisha is common knowledge? Established fact. Peer reviewed outcome.
Yeah. Fact is not the worst first pass for the idea there.
And also we can put lots of words in here and cut back later. Like
Oh, absolutely.
editing
Yeah,
as you go is the death of all creation.
yeah.
um,
So I wouldn't have both knowledge and fact as permission engaged because that starts to become
right.
ambiguous.
Yep.
Um,
We could jump around too if you think of things that are
100%.
uh
Yeah, for other places.
if you're suddenly inspired for another type.
Absolutely. Um,
Yeah, I think myth is the same idea, Steffi, like mystery. Um, although I think our the interesting idea that I'm having is like I love myth, but the magic punk side of it, that we're also in a modern day technological world, mystery is maybe the better fit than myth would be. Uh because we have people out here saying any magic is insufficiently described science, and they're out there trying to uncover every little question and leave no myth unturned. Um,
Let no one be mistaken.
oh, wow. Yeah.
But particularly in the case of arcane, I am finding it helpful to have a mental image of what I mean, which, to be absolutely forthright, is Gale from Baldur's Gate at the moment for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what is his pursuit?
Hmm.
That which is not broadly promulgated knowledge, but rather that which is discovered in the tower.
Right.
To what end? Um, to uncover that which is mystery. Like,
Um,
because that's my vision of like what we mean when we say arcane, which is not quite so self-evident as something like air in terms of suggesting to us motifs. Arcane means a bunch of different things to a bunch of different people. And so agreeing on like we will be, by giving these permissions engage, uh defining the concept space that we mean when we say arcane, but we should probably have locked in the prior vibe that we're trying to instantiate through word.
yeah. I'm looking up my
Doesn't have to be Gale, but like that was where I went.
I'm opening up my Mage rulebook because the thing that I always loved in Mage was the Prime Sphere, and that is what I'm thinking of, and I want to be able to describe it better. So I'm just gonna pull this up real quick. Games, Mage. Um, these are PDFs that I've purchased, folks. I think you should support game makers and
Yep.
not copy stuff. But your public library probably has lots of resources available.
Yes. Although not Invisible Sense, you should keep an eye out for when PDF sales happen.
Yeah,
Every so often they'll go down to like $20 for the collection. That's 4 books in the core set. I have read 3 of them. The fourth one is the GM guide. I don't read that shit. I'm playing the game.
yeah.
So I can only speak to 3 of them. The fourth one's a setting guide and like it tells you all of the secrets. So I would never do that to myself. Um,
Okay.
Let it be said, I'm surprisingly good at not opening Pandora's box. You really wouldn't fucking think. But
No,
here
no,
we
actually,
are.
I think that makes sense because you also love wonder and discovery. And I don't know if you had this experience, but I personally, one year, so my family celebrated Christmas and I went looking for my presents and I
Mhm,
found them.
mhm, yeah.
And that was a disaster. Like, I found them and then realized, like, oh, I fucked up. 10-year-old me, right? Was like, I have to unlearn, like, I have to pretend I don't want to tell my parents because like, not because I'll get in trouble, but because like I've disappointed myself, right? Of
Mm.
like the level of self awareness that put on me of like, I fucked up, you know, there was no external consequence or punishment or anything. And um that has shaped a lot of my experience to now.
It's funny, I also had a similar experience.
How so?
Um, I also found my where the Hanukkah presents were getting stashed.
Uh-huh.
I determined that there were boxes in an unusual location. Having ascertained that I could know what they were if I wanted to, I now knew the information I needed to have when I needed to have it because all else would become known to me.
Yeah.
And it's not like it wouldn't become known to me, but the information of where they had been would have been lost had I waited. Therefore, I satisfied for myself that they could be found
Yes.
without investigating their nature, which would
Yeah.
be revealed to me later anyway. I maximized possible knowledge
Yeah. No, I had
while trying to keep it time appropriate. And like after that, every year I didn't go back in that particular closet because I knew then I would risk exactly the experience you
yeah.
had. But I did find myself compelled to look but not to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. These were everything it was all unwrapped, right? Cuz it was like in
Yeah.
this like sort of back shelf behind the above where the laundry was where it anyway. Um so Prime in Mage
Hmm.
is about like things that you would specialize in it are resonance, artifice, perceptions, channeling, creation, and destruction. So it's like the nature of magic. It's
Hmm.
the student of Prime learns to understand, manipulate, and absorb the fifth essence within all things of like quintessence and you know like the essence that you use to power other magical effects is a huge way that I understand this idea of the arcane or like I'm saying arcane the as in a type of dragon, a dragon that is their first and foremost experience is the nature of magic, right? And not a particular expression of magic like the way the air dragon does or the nature dragon does, but is just magic. So the dragon is made of friendship. Um, uh, and so in my mind, it's not a dragon, it's not a mystery dragon or a knowledge dragon or an anti-fact dragon or whatever. It's this idea of, I was thinking of knowledge because this is the thing that in mage you channel to create artifice, create magic items, to create a ritual and empower the ritual with the energy that it needs to um draw quintessence into a container and have that for use later. So it would be like mana development and manipulation, which we don't have systems for in our game yet, but like those concepts are sort of what I was thinking about. But that, I'm not saying this is what it needs to be. I just want to sort of uh align those concepts.
Hmm. Could you give me so you are thinking mostly in terms of meta magic?
Kind of, yeah. That's a good uh also sort of sideways into it.
Does that fit into a two aggregate system?
I don't know.
Because I
And it
think
may.
that's like I think it fits nicely with a system where Prime may augment things that feel complete in themselves. My
uh
concern is that the over and under power of a type that can't be changed, because it's not like it's on the human side where you could take a different thing
right.
and
Or
then have to like only someone who has an arcane dragon has access to this kind of thing, and therefore the entire build remains subject to over or underpowering, right?
or
Because this is
well,
the inescapable aggregate of the type.
I don't think we're suggesting only somebody with an arcane dragon gets access to arcane magic, right?
To the arcane as the type.
Well, I thought we were saying like, okay, if you have an arcane dragon, you get
Mhm,
arcane and you get a human thing and you get a
mhm.
third thing, right? That like, oh, you also want air? Okay, you can have that. Um even though arcane is sort of your main or your whatever. Um
So
it's like the one you automatically get, but not the one you only get.
there I think we had been talking about having more than one dragregate. And I'm going to keep using the weaving language for now. Um just because we don't have an overarching word for the threads. Um Dragregates, beautiful. Um but we had talked about maybe like having two that you could pick between for an air type. What we hadn't talked about are like kind of pick and cross type. That I would be very against. There should absolutely be exclusive
Yes.
ones. And if we have arcane dragons and we are presenting arcane not at, like as a dragregate, then it should absolutely unquestionably be exclusive to air, fire, earth, nature, and so on. We might also have things that are available to all dragons according to their nature and temperament, and therefore are not restricted by type, and yet can be accessed from within the dragon domain.
Okay. Yeah.
But those would be kind of like, general and then type specific. Arcane should be for arcane, and therefore it would be only accessible to a subtype of players. And for
Right.
that reason, um, it's not that I am against the concept of Prime. It is I'm trying to figure out whether metamagic kind of wants to live as a weight bearing half
Sure.
when it's
So,
when it's only half. Like if we were working with potentially three, then it's, one, two, okay, that's a full spell in itself. Meta magic, lovely.
sure. So I'm picturing arcane, as meta magic. It's also where I would think a lot of buffs live, buffs and debuffs, right? Of like, I'm going to help my allies do magic and impede my opponent's ability to use magic because I can just squeeze the spigot and cause problems because I understand the flow of magic.
That's
Um,
playstyle.
Sure, right. But what I want to do is enable that. So, like, what can you do with arcane? But like, I don't necessarily see meta magic as a um ineffectual. Like, I can imagine a type of meta magic that is equally effective as throwing a firebolt. Of like, I'm also going to interfere with, at one point we're also talking about the arcane dragon being kind of plugged into Wi-Fi effects or whatever the ley line effects and that sort of thing. Like these would have the exclusive mastery of ley lines and that kind of thing. Um,
I think the reason why I say that sounds like playstyle
mhm.
is because I think the choice of conceptual word can influence playstyle or suggest to some extent playstyle.
Yeah.
I would strongly oppose approaching playstyle first.
Okay.
When choosing words, in part because like I think it's more fun to see what suggests from the conceptual.
Hmm.
Because for instance, like and that is allowing everybody to figure out how within a given concept space what a buff looks like.
Yeah.
And one can construct buff out of mystery and whatever your human thing is with sufficient creativity on the player side. One can do it. One can do all of the like we got it. The bottlenecks got to be player creativity in these kinds of systems.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I was that's a it's a common thing to fall into. Like, I'm thinking of arcane and I'm prescribing playstyle, and I need to back up and have bigger picture. um okay. And
Or at least when we're thinking about what arcane is, not to think in terms of what might be produced in a playstyle outcome.
sure.
I don't think the magic system, or at least the magic system I am advocating, is agnostic to outcome so much as symbolic cohesiveness.
Well,
Yes,
so
I'm sure fire will allow for someone who wants to wreck shit.
yeah.
We may, as you've advocated, add some words that suggest things that aren't wrecking shit. And through that, you might see fire magic played differently because they can draw on permissions that aren't suggested by a whole lot of other fire magic.
Yeah. I wonder if it's helpful to rethink what the arcane dragon is called. Like, I was calling it arcane, thinking like this is the nature of magic and prime and whatever. But um I mean, is it better to call it a mana dragon or a ley line, or like, is there some other way to approach that conceptually that helps build the aggregate?
So I agree that hmm,
Because arcane, something being arcane literally means a mystery. Um, if we're gonna, really drill down on the word usage. Um,
arcane is not elemental.
right.
There's a reason I associate it with Gale and study and acquisition
Right.
of knowledge, which is a foundationally human endeavor.
Yes, it is.
One could more easily make the argument that arcane could belong on the human side.
Yeah.
And so what you're presenting to me would be um a magical source as elemental. I don't remember too terribly the etymology of mana, although I recall it like not really be it like I've got mana. I don't think it's what we're talking about here.
Oh, yeah, okay, so there is a, um let's see, well, no, this is an overview of right, this is not a academic.
Like, isn't it Pacific in etymology?
Yeah, there's a Proto-Polynesian, Proto-Oceanic reference to spiritual power, authority, or life force. Um, it entered English via Maori in the 19th century. Um,
That makes sense. I mean, that's one of the English speaking encounters. For that reason, I would be strongly disinclined to center around a word that I'm not culturally centered to understand the like misusing someone else's concept that has a fixed meaning and words frickin' mean things
yeah,
strikes me especially in this concept of magic
yeah,
to be, and this is not to hop on anything in particular, it's just the idea of it being an elemental thing.
yeah,
Yes, I strongly support the argument, all the more so choosing
yeah.
something where we can comfortably expound on the word, I think is valuable.
No, that's a great point. Like what I'm thinking of it when I say mana, I'm thinking of, tap for mana, spend mana to implement your spells, that sort of thing. And so if we have another term for that, I think that's great. Um, because yes, I agree. We certainly do not need to do culture crimes. That's just an unforced error that is,
Yeah.
just because it's the word I'm the most familiar with doesn't mean it's the only word. Um, so, I'll go for mana synonyms. Is that a good place to start? Because there's also like a Hebrew reference to mana, and there's reference in the
Yeah, that's
Bible.
very different. We are
Um,
not talking about bread here.
yeah, right. Um,
We will certainly not find anything within my cultural domain which has strong anti-magic taboo.
but like I don't think like energy dragon is not specific enough,
No,
right?
that's not
Because
meaningful.
fire is energy and kinetic is energy and okay,
Correct.
whatever. Um so we're talking about
We do not even need to have a word of cultural specificity per se, although drawing on some kind of etymology makes sense to me. Um, you can have a made up word and say this is the stuff that's making up the ley lines. Like what you're making is effectively a material argument for magic.
yes, yeah.
In which case, this dragon, just as there is an earth dragon, would be the dragon of that material
Um I
that is
suppose
physically, represented in ley line material, for instance.
I'm not familiar with astral having a too many negative. Let's look up
Astral
astral.
from Latin, meaning star.
Yeah. Um yeah, like I don't feel like that's too far off of what we mean an astral dragon.
It is if you mean ley lines.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like th- the underlying energy of magic. Um because yeah, a fey dragon is something. A lay dragon as opposed to a professional dragon. Um I prefer lay nouns. Um
I mean, if you're going to have a dragon whose element is magic, corresponding to these other, elemental types,
right.
then you do need to you do need to base it in a word and a language is kind of what we got, and there's a bunch for that. There's a finite amount for magic as material, which I think is why people gravitate um toward Polynesian conceptualizations.
Right.
It's just, I don't know, that feels like yoinking to me. Um,
Yeah, I mean, but there are also, so I'm not necessarily making the case for using mana. I'm this is a intellectual exercise, right? In terms of like, if we think about, nope, that argument says if enough people do it, it's okay. Never mind.
fair enough.
I'm just thinking like it is in such common use, that like Magic the Gathering and uh so many games, every video game has a health and mana bar or whatever. Um
Right. The success and acceptability of um appropriation are distinct
yes, yes,
axes.
yes. And so that, yeah, I
Yeah,
veered
no,
off
no,
that
no.
one.
A good prior catch, fair enough.
But I also don't
Um,
want to call it the magic dragon because all dragons are magic.
right. No,
Um but the
I think what
resource,
we're identifying is that like magic has often not been conceptualized in a
yeah.
material sense in Western culture, which is why many words in language like
Oh, goodbye, bot. Thank
uh,
you, but no thank you.
seem imperfect fits, which I think is interesting
Yeah,
and instructive for us since we are trying to, in creating this,
right.
implicitly articulate a sense of what magic is.
Yeah, to try and have a term for it, like what we mean is the raw energy that fuels magical effects. Which it's also interesting that in common parlance, the term mana like is just so pervasive. I didn't know about the Polynesian roots of that it came from Maori and is appropriated. Like that is, I'm glad
I
to know
mean,
that
it had to
now.
come from somewhere, and
Yeah.
like what became immediately obvious to me, like the first time I played Magic, which was when I encountered this the first time, was like, I don't, I didn't recognize it within the Indo European language families.
Hmm.
And I was like, where word from?
Yeah, I guess it had landed from the reference to bread as a resource, and like magical bread from heaven was kind of how I had
Us,
made
you had thought it was,
like
yeah.
there was some sort of uh
Right. I mean, there's miracle associated with that.
right.
Um, but I had the sense that it couldn't have been from that because it's associated with arcane and not divine. Like, it's a
That's
different,
funny. Yeah.
a culturally distinct magic type that people don't usually smoosh together with anything that they experience as biblical.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh
cleric, a kind of word from that tradition goes on the divine sides of magic that don't talk
yeah.
about these things as much. Anyway,
Um Also worth thinking about, like, okay, in the Industrial Revolution, when dragons appear and
mhm,
humans have to start writing down theories of magic because
mhm,
immediately people would start researching this.
mhm.
Essence, quintessence, and ether, Prince Fidel, thank you. Like those are all, ether was a huge theory for a long time.
Going
Um,
to the scholastic tradition, I think, is very strong. Questions of essence, substance, form
yeah,
are core to Neoplatonic
yeah,
language that is very pervasive and that doesn't fully escape the early modern.
yeah.
Let's see. I think Spinozistic language might
I'm gonna
be
put
helpful for
down
it.
so far I think essence and ether, especially with the A spelling. And I'll put down all of the options that are viable here.
I think
As
ether is a
in saying
strong working.
this is an essence dragon, this is an ether dragon, of like coming up with a term that says like, oh,
I
we're
think
talking about
ether
the
is a
nature, the fabric
is
of magic.
I think ether is ideal.
Yeah.
It is a
Okay.
substance which allows it to correspond to other elements,
Yeah.
and it fits, I would argue, with our intuitive notion of what we're looking for here. I think it does what we actually want it to do,
Yeah,
to
I think
be
so
a
too.
magical substance. Perfect. Beautiful. Yo,
Kudos, Your Highness.
that's
Thank you.
fucking phenomenal. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Absolutely mission critical. This is a beautiful example of why doing this out on Twitch is so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like
Actually,
that
yeah, for real.
brilliant. Thank you so
Like if
much.
you and I were sitting around having coffee doing this in person without
Yeah,
having
you could probably wouldn't have come to me
yeah,
for if I thank so fucking this is good shit. This is good
yeah.
shit. Thank you. Brilliant.
Um yeah, we'll definitely be putting our Twitch chat viewers in the thank yous for the
Yes.
book.
Yes.
Okay. So we're changing Arcane Dragon to Ether Dragon.
Yes.
That means you have to go alphabetically above air. Congratulations on your
Mhm.
promotion.
I mean either or.
Oh no. You say ether or ether?
Neither. Neither.
Then
Let's
there
call the
was
whole
a
thing off.
fight. It was a firefight. That's good. Now it's first in the magic section. Dragon types. And then we are gonna get people asking, was it ether or ether or either or either or oh ether?
Let's call the whole thing off.
What are you singing?
Let's call the whole thing off.
Oh, right, right. Did I tell you about the casting director I used to know?
No.
This guy, he was casting something and that they needed to just show they could sing anything, right? And so it
Mhm.
wasn't a prepare this song. It was come in with any fucking song you want that shows us what you can do. It's a small part. We just need to know that you are capable of carrying a tune,
Mhm.
right? Um, and this gal came in having had the sides and the prep and knowing you could pick any song that you want, presumably a song you're very familiar with,
Ideally.
and
I don't know.
straight face saying, you say potato, I say potato, let's call the whole thing off. Of like, my friend, what? Why do you think they're calling the whole thing off? Um,
Because what joy is there in a partnership where everyone agrees with each other?
right.
No, give me a relationship al dente. Give me something to fight with. If you say potato and I say potato, what are we even doing here? Let's
Yeah.
call the whole thing off.
Yeah. And it wasn't one verse.
Agreeable.
She sang the whole goddamn song.
No, I actually love this so much more. This
Yeah.
is now my canonical read. This is superior in every way, and I appreciate its relationship a lot.
Yeah.
No,
Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Just the like, oh my God.
that's so much better. That's so much better.
And his telling of it was like he had to sit there with a straight face and not like I'm
Yep. Yeah.
at
No,
least she could
absolutely.
he also mentioned she could sing, so that was nice.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't painful. It was just like, wait, what? What is happening right now?
Yeah.
Am I being pranked? Um, yeah,
Right. So I think on the basis of showcasing a lack of textual comprehension, that ultimately will be reflected in the actor's script analysis, right?
yeah,
If you can't analyze what's going on here for the purpose of addiction, you've committed a much deeper problem of not understanding the core of a text, which actually is very important to
right.
being an actor. Nonetheless, the interpretation I find meritorious.
Yeah,
I like it better. Anyway, um, okay. So I think let's actually bounce around to things that we know perfectly well,
sure.
clear out their design space, and figure out if there's anything else within the elemental that we want to be described.
Yeah,
Because we may find that ether ends up being a particularly good conceptual dumping ground feels like a very strong word, but there are things that could properly be in ether or another category. But these are a little more definitive. Maybe let's start with these.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there is going to be crossover, right? In ether and air. There,
Yeah, maybe.
there are going to be concepts that feel similar and you could
Yeah.
create similar effects.
Mhm.
Okay, that's fine, right? As long as there isn't a ton of crossover between air and earth, you know, like I think that's where you really want to see
I
more
mean,
distinction.
or there like, and here's the thing: there can be crossover as much as you like in permissions. Those gates are going to be different.
Yeah. Hey,
And I suspect, like, there are going to be some elemental conflicts on the
can I
gauge level between air and earth.
leave you to pilot the stream for a minute? I'm hearing something that sounds like maybe I should go take a
Go,
look.
do things. Go,
Okay,
go, go,
be
go,
right
go.
back.
Go. All right. Uh, hello, chat. We now run this chat, and I would love us just to take a moment, please, as we're doing this. Feel free to say nice things about the host of this channel, Jason, and it's probably okay. Check out Demigods PBTA or Drive Through RPG has Demigods. The game that Jason made said he wouldn't make another PBTA because, like, frankly, when you've just done the dang thing, why would you need to climb Mount Everest twice? That just risks hypoxia more than once. Nah, keep the oxygen in your brain and do new things. So here we're doing new things, but you should check out the things, the Everests that Jason's climbed over on Drive Through and on his own website because it's a very good PBTA. Like whether or not Jason's done with it, like done, like completed, like I've seen many PBTAs. If you've ever been curious about Powered by the Apocalypse, we'll always pitch this one. I know I'm principally preaching to the choir. Nonetheless, I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to extol Jason's virtues in a venue where he is in no position to object. I will also say I'm so geeked that I have gotten someone who hasn't played Invisible Sun to look at anything in Invisible Sun. I've been screaming. Like a bunch of people in this chat probably know how much I've been screaming about Invisible Sun for years. And I'm not persuasive. Or the bar to getting into Invisible Sun is so horrifically high. Not disputing it, but like I've not been able to lower it until now that anyone should look at any part of this system. This incredibly interesting system that was tragically trapped by Monty Cook Games behind the idea that it should need very expensive material components, which elevate the experience for many people, but nonetheless dissuade others from reading the books wherein is contained such lovely and interesting game design. Ideas well worth understanding and looking at, and for designers yoinking from to greater or lesser extent. We're not going to fully rip off the Weaver system because we are using a profoundly pared down idea. Um, but it's great in its glory, and this is not the only system in there. It's a good RPG. Material components. So, when Invisible Sun was first released, it was released as like a $300, $400 thing, not with PDFs. In fact, um, when I was at Geek and Sundry and Callisto 6 was like doing a thing with Monty Cook Games as a sponsorship. And we were talking about Invisible Sun, like showing the art and everything. And like I was just starting to play it with Jackson Lansing, who runs the Invisible Sun game that I've been playing in for years. We actually had to request the PDFs for me because I can't with big old material books. It's but in addition to the books themselves, are a whole lot of little objects. There are little puzzles within the physical box, props. and so on. I admit, I bounce off of that stuff. There are many people who extol the virtues of this stuff. Presumably, many of the same people who also enjoy minis and battle maps, and these things are valid. I'm just never going to be the spokesperson for them. Nonetheless, we can understand how, like, having a bunch of props drives up the cost of the thing. And now people don't have the thing. They don't have a lot of copies of Invisible Sun. Invisible Sun never really did that well, money wise, and they only introduced PDF copies very late in the lifetime of the game.
I detect crimes.
Why? Why would you say such a thing? I've never done a crime my whole life.
Thank you, everybody, for saying nice things. Did we answer Edmund's question in chat? Are you still here, Ed?
No. We had not yet.
Oh, okay.
I was taking a moment to talk about stuff I thought was cool, like Invisible Sun.
Yeah, no, I want to play it now. I really want to see how it works. Okay, Prince. Thank you.
Very nicely done.
That has to be somebody's actual username, right? Like,
yes, that's how it works. This is an art form, as you will also see from Mikado Yuki. Gifting us up to no shenanigans here. A master of the art form. But yes, no, to clarify Edmund's question, we're making a game set in a cyberpunk setting using a novel dice system and built around the conceit of the players as being partners, each of them, with a dragon. And that they are taking on people likewise partnered with dragons, but enmeshed within the capitalist hellscape of the cyberpunk setting. We seek, in the campaigns we set up, to be liberatory toward those dragons.
Yeah.
And we are building the magic system associated with that side of the game.
Yeah.
That's my cheap summary, I guess.
Yeah. And if you're talking about the mechanical core, it's rolling 2d10, adding them together, and trying to get an 11. So you're trying to get the middle of the likelihood that
Yep.
of what you would roll there. So with consequences on either side of that, different types of consequences. Anyway, this is fun and exciting. Sorry to have to step away, but there were no dog crimes happening. It sounded like there was a dog crime, and it was just.
Sometimes these things need to be investigated. I'm glad to hear suspects were cleared of all.
And now she's asleep already next to me again. Like, how? Okay.
What a beautiful baby.
Like, I can't go to sleep at the time I'm supposed to go to sleep, having done all of the rituals and material components involved, and it's have trouble invoking sleep. And this dog woke up to look at me and is now asleep again. That's jerk. It sounded like she couldn't get out the dog door. And a thing that she does sometimes is when my spouse is in the shower, Janet has internalized the rule of I'm supposed to be outside while she's in the shower. And that's not a rule. We never established this rule with her. And then when the shower turns off, she will sit outside the dog door and nose it because it squeaks. And then being like, can I come in now that you're done in the shower? No one has told me I could come in. And that's because no one told you had to go out.
Yeah.
But she had just been like going in and coming out too many times. And I was like, is she stuck outside? I use air quotes around the word stuck.
Stuck. Yeah. Yeah. Silly being.
So 11 is the best result on 2d10. So snake eyes or double tens are catastrophe. There's a 1% chance of either of those, and so it lets us be particularly potent in the results, which I think will be fun. Yes,
All
Janet
right.
gets caught on geometry. Steffi, thank you. That's. Oh yeah, and it's especially true too because the laundry basket will sit next to where the dog door opens,
Mhm.
And if it's like 1 inch too close to where the dog door can open freely,
Right.
it is too close. And we will not attempt. And we will just sit outside and cry until somebody moves the immovable object um, that is actually not blocking her um, way at all. Um, so anyway, the nice thing about this dice system is when you roll a crit, you can say every time this one goes to 11, and that's just what else do you want from a game system? I don't know.
There are so many things I love about making games with you, Jason. You are truly a wonderful and generous collaborator, and I would not even be involved in this endeavor if not for you. I truly appreciate so much about what we do together.
And are there components that you don't love?
Do we have to get into that?
Have I never brought up the like this one goes to 11? I love it. I
So, do we want to talk about the drag regates?
We sure do.
Yay! Sorry.
Is aggregates RE or RA?
um,
E.
AGGRE.
E.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put 2 G's in it. That feels better. Yeah. Okay.
Drag
Now
regate.
it
Yeah.
looks
There
right.
you go.
2
Yeah.
T's?
1T.
Oh.
Aggregate.
Oh, gate. Gate. That's what it is. Not like suffragettes.
Yep.
which
I
is
mean,
what-
look, if we want to call them drag regates.
Could be called spinal tapping. Yes, exactly, because it's right in the spine of the mountain peak there. Yeah. Okay. So, did we? Okay, there's nothing new on the list unless I need to refresh, right?
No, I didn't want
Okay.
to build without you.
Okay. So we've got about half an
But
hour
yeah,
left.
I've advocated moving to some of the more decisive material ones. I would also advocate starting building from the gauche first.
Oh yeah, like what can it not do?
What can it not do first? Because I think of the reverse ends up presenting a problem.
Yes.
And because we're looking at smaller lists and because sometimes that figuring out what is excluded is often very helpful.
Yes.
Um,
Okay. Do you have any gauche in mind?
um fire shouldn't have cold.
Well, but what if you're stealing their fire?
Fire doesn't have cold.
But if I'm combining fire and thievery, and
Mhm.
they'll end up cold.
Would you like to present an alternate?
I'm just trying to think of like that was the first thing I thought of like I would want to use fire for in a creative way. And so if we want to say you
Cold
cannot
might be
use
a secondary impact of something,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Turning off a fire may result in cold. The action you are undertaking in turning off a fire is not an action of cold.
Right. I'm not going to do
But
cold
also,
damage or
what we are
yeah.
going right. What we are going to do is say, like, the nature of Geish is to say, hey, this thing you feel like you might be able to argue for,
Mhm.
you will not be able to. Otherwise, it could simply go unsaid. The only purpose of a Geish is to restrict that which you might otherwise have thought to argue for.
I'm just writing down Steffi's
Yep.
ideas.
Yeah. Those are good first passes.
Thank you, Steffi.
I think all of those are good first passes.
Yep. I want to write down transmute rather than change, right? Because it's like feel like transmutation implies something specific.
I want to write more geishas.
Okay.
Like, I really am arguing for populating all of them, in part because then we know.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I think it is like some permissions could exist in multiple places. If we know because of geisha it can't exist in that other place, then we can safely put it here, right?
Yeah. How about geish technology or machine for nature?
Hmm.
I'm not making cases. These are actual questions. Like that's not like a loaded question or anything.
No, and I'm serious. I mean, of course
Yeah.
not. I'm seriously thinking about it.
Yeah.
Um, because what it gets a little deeper into, like, what is nature in this context?
Sure. So we have our beast dragon, our leaf dragon, our you know that kind of stuff. So I think nature is in a lot of ways it's talking about plants and animals.
Mhm.
Um, what did we say about the dragons themselves? Nature dragon was also going to be somewhat plugged into alchemy, but that's different from technology. Also thinking about buffs, debuffs, healing, yes, health. I think is a big part of it.
So I'm hearing an absence is death.
Absence of death, yeah,
Absence is death. Because even when something dies, you'll have detritivores. You will have life taking advantage. And everything you're telling me is about living things and in contraposition to living. So, not contraposition, excuse me. Um,
do you want me to put death there, or what is the?
I'm advancing it as a
Yeah,
gauge on nature,
okay. I want to
which
make sure I
isn't to say
understood
that it
what
is
your
absent
suggestion was.
from nature, but rather everything you're telling me suggests the magic produces. Like you're telling me healing, you're telling me plants and animal living things.
Right. And we might produce a poison or a toxin or venom or something, but that's not the same as death.
Or you might not, and maybe that part of nature is not included in this aspect of magic.
Maybe.
It could be like you want to go for a slightly different aggregate because, you know, one can argue from nature anything in creation,
Right.
right? Like you can talk about the totality of the universe and make an argument from nature. Again, with Geish, we're deliberately curtailing that which is possible.
Right.
Um,
Are plants and animals included in biology?
yes.
So really we're talking about a biology dragon. Bio
What we
dragon.
are talking about actually, yes, in part because Earth, that is the inorganic that is within
Right.
nature, and water
Oh, yeah. You're saying
are
put Earth
both.
in as a geish?
Oh, no, I was just saying that, like, we have a different place for
Mm,
that which is non-biological
yeah.
in our elements. So
I
yes,
see. Yeah.
nature is biological as we've constructed it because we are emphasizing other, like, the inorganic stuff actually actively goes other places.
Sure. Oh, quick question while I'm just because it popped in my head.
Mhm.
So far for human types, I've put body, mind, spirit. I was also thinking about like a hearth or something like that, unless that just goes under spirit, like hearth magic, but I don't even know what that means. It just
I think the process of attempting to build um aggregates out of body, mind, and spirit might present to itself aspects of the design space. For instance, we might find that we
these are too
need.
broad.
Right.
Yeah, that's
But
fine.
I think we will find that out by doing, and I don't want to add other things before we figure, is this the appropriate amount of
Yeah.
scope?
What I imagine is all three of those will turn into two more each, and then they will go away.
Right.
But
I think it's
the
perfectly
concept is there.
plausible to split them
Yeah.
out. That
Yeah,
that in no way troubles me at all. It's just before we add, let's see them force themselves to split out, and then we will
sure.
see
Or at least
the
two
the
might be.
fissure
Yeah.
along which they do so.
Okay,
Or
so more
it works,
Gish.
and then you get to feel very, very happy and smug and pleased with yourself. Yeah.
Um, let's see. Other Geish. Water should be banned from heat. I don't know. That there could be hot water, but uh, I don't mind the idea of a steam effect, but fire is banned from being wet. And we're suggesting kind of that these will not interact with each other much anyway, right? Is that kind of what we decided?
I mean, yeah, these will not. These will be de facto exclusive to the point that we
Right.
could consider whether or not we
And
even
that's
feel the need to have wet.
that
I don't think it's a bad idea, mind you,
yeah,
but just yeah, actually to your point that this would not be a relevant absence in the most traditional combination.
right. And this is a notable divergence from what the Weaver magic, how the Weaver magic is built.
Right, where absolutely these are completely unrestricted in their
Yeah.
combinations. Except insofar as you might not choose to because they're too incommensurate. It's a
Right.
pain to make spells out of them. Even then, you can take it as a challenge,
But the
although
idea that we
challenge
would
is its own
have
aggregate.
categories of aggregates even above that,
Right. We are creating a superstructure that
yeah,
is absent from the other. Like it's definitely not a copy paste. I'm not worried about it being a
yeah,
copy
yeah,
paste.
yeah, totally.
It's
But it's a really
more
neat inspiration space.
it's a fantastic space. Like, if you're going to have specific spells and that be a thing that exists across many, 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 many games, this concept I think should be likewise spread across many games.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, Prince, I'm not sure. I threw out Hearth because it's something I think about a lot, and it's something I want in the game, and I'm gonna come back to that now that I've said it out loud. Um, let's see what. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get rid of what we had down for Ether now that we've refined that idea a little bit. What do you think water can't do, Sam? Purpose. Interesting.
Nature is not teleological.
No, it's incidental mutations and evolutionary
Right.
pressure and
Order arises from system, but not toward an end.
right.
Um, water.
I think of water in terms of pressure, inevitability, um, also life. Uh,
Mhm.
Edmund, are you suggesting symmetry as a gauge of water or as a part of nature? Nature tends towards symmetry more often than not, at least in uh, uh like mammals and animals. Animal kingdom tends
There are
towards symmetry.
axes of symmetry in various levels of complexity in living structures.
Right.
Often arising from, well, not a whole bunch of different things at different levels of complexity.
Yeah.
Natural science is really cool.
Yeah. It
Anyway,
is.
I just anytime I think about it, even just for the slightest moment, just the slightest moment.
Yeah, Prince, that's a lot of what I'm thinking about with Hearth is community and organization and civilization, people working together. There's a great line in the book, the is it the name of the wind or Wise Man's Fear? I think it might be the second book, where the main character meets somebody from a different culture and they're learning each other's language at the same time. And the guy from the other culture is trying to ask for the word for civilization. And he's like, what's the word for people living together and nobody shits in the well? He's like, civilization? Like, I don't. It's like, yes, civilized.
Yeah,
And so anytime I hear about civilization, I think of everyone live together and no one shits in the well.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we've all agreed as
That's
a social contract, no one's gonna shit in the well. Thank you. Well, most of us have. Now I'm sad again.
well, most of us.
Yeah,
Um, so are we including within, since these are our elementals, and this is going to be like get all our elemental energies out right now.
yeah,
I'm operating on the assumption that ice will be a permission of water.
yeah, yep,
Because if it isn't, then there are different things that one might be inclined to put as a gauge. Like if we were only talking about fluid phases of water, we could talk about stillness and such like. But
sure.
since ice, therefore, those things will not be gauge. Um,
Yeah, I love the like conceptually, thinking about hydraulic pressure and inevitability of like you can't compress water.
yeah.
And that's fascinating to me, right? Like it's
And what's a high pressure hose doing?
well, it is compressing it within the material limitations of the hose, but like there is because there are air bubbles and whatever, like but there's um water there is something about the physics of water that it can't be compressed. I don't remember what it is, but the like most things get smaller when they freeze and water gets bigger because it's traps air in there. um
Well, isn't that also an artifact of the geometry of the hydrogen monoxide?
I don't know.
And so the resulting crystal structure for there are different phases of water, and I don't know how their volume uh or ice, excuse me. There are a bunch of different ices,
Sure,
but I think it's a
I'd
function of
rather
the
just say
angles of the
frozen water
molecule,
at this
right?
point. All right. uh um what what was the last thing you said there?
Oh, just reinforcing that it was a function of my understanding is that it's a function of the geometry of the molecules.
I'm sure it is. I'm speaking out of the entirety of my ass. So, something I remember from middle school physics. That
Certainly, it is true that ice is a rare example of a material with a larger volume in its solid than its fluid state.
Yeah, that's pretty rare.
Unquestioned. Yes.
Um, so, something about heat, fire, burning. What would you want to put there?
I mean, we can just say fire.
Okay, I don't want to put the name of another dragon.
See, and that's going to be the same problem with wet.
Hmm.
I think there's
But
a good case for both removing
but
both.
wet is not water, right? I like that wet is there, but I don't want to put water there. Does that make sense?
No.
So my it's purely linguistic, my concern. So I'm fine with fire having the gauge of wet or wetness. I don't want it to have the gauge of water.
Why?
Um because water is the name of a type of dragon.
What is the practical outcome?
Linguistic.
That's not a practical
Like
outcome.
no, no, it's not. It's a descriptive and linguistic. That's in the entirety of my concern.
But this is mechanical, so we want there to be a mechanical implication, no?
Uh,
Basically, I think a very good argument for not including water or fire as a gauge is there will never be a practical circumstance where you would be able to invoke this gauge due to the restrictions that we're setting on these aggregates.
sure.
Therefore, I think the same argument applies to wet.
Yes. Okay.
So if it applies both to water and to wet, I think that that's a good reason to remove either.
Remind me, are we formatting as nouns?
We hadn't yet like it broadly, but we're also not.
The
I don't know that we've hard
aggregates
committed.
in the Weaver are nouns, right?
Broadly speaking, yes.
Okay. Well,
We talked about doing so.
let's try to stick to that as much as
Okay.
possible.
Yeah.
In which case, wet is not appropriate for that as well.
Right.
Um,
And now we return to the that's the type of a mutual that's a mutually exclusive type, so it seems redundant.
um, well, I don't know. It also kind of helps describe, like, okay, fire and water are opposites. We might say earth and ether are opposites. And then we have six, right? Nature and air are opposites. Like, it may become helpful down the line to have defined those um, on some sort of axes of six-pointed star of like,
But if
the,
you can never combine any of these two, how would one be more opposite than the other?
I don't know.
I mean, I think that we have created such a system is cool and useful and sparks creativity and distinguishes ourselves from, for instance, how absences work in the Weaver system, where absolutely water would be an absence in fire, and absolutely fire would be an absence in water. Um, and absolutely silence would be an absence of these puppy dogs.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
and perhaps a good absence for nature. Who knows? Um,
So, to answer Edmund's question,
no
Edmund,
worries.
lovely to have you here. The fire hose, also steam. Well, no, not steam. Ice could be like a cold breath. Could even be some other sensory, like an illusory breath weapon of some kind. It might not be strictly a damage type. It might be some other effect. Um, like, for instance, I'm really hoping the ether dragon will be able to breathe out portals, like as a breath weapon of like portal, um, and have something like that. So yeah.
I mean, at the moment, it fits squarely into the narrative fiction of how one describes the effect, which can be breath or not,
Yeah.
which is a very lovely place for that to be.
So is it? Are you ending up wanting to not put water and fire on here as Geish?
I mean, Geish should be if a Geish is never meaningfully invoked,
Right.
it shouldn't be there,
Okay. So
right? Like it's
the
got to be
reason
a practical limitation
the
on the
reason to
player.
have them there would be to say we don't want them to create steam effects. Like if I say I'm going to take my fire ability and this other thing that I have from being a human, and I'm going to make a steam bomb, right? Um, because there's this pool of water there, and I'm going to heat it up and create a steam explosion. If water is a gauge, I can't do that.
That is true. That's a good
And if it's
argument.
not there, I can do that. I'm not
Mhm.
arguing for one way or the other. I'm wondering what you prefer.
Um, I think that is a strong argument because it would feel counterintuitive to me to say that you could have that fire in there at all because you can have heat. And if heat is a permission, then and it very well could be, I actually would have no problem with the steam. However, if we are talking about flame and heat doesn't end up being a permission, then it wouldn't be there.
Okay. So what would you want to see?
Um, I again, like I Okay, so I think it will make sense ultimately when we get to permissions for heat to be a permission and fire. That seems squarely like the thing.
Yeah.
Um
In which case,
Now,
we
mhm,
remove water from the Geish.
yeah, cuz like anything heated will be of another element.
Yeah.
Water, air, earth.
Yeah.
That which is heated will be non-fire.
Yeah.
So I don't know that any one of those elements would be immune because that's not how thermodynamics work.
Sure. Yeah. Or
This is a
or
very magic-y approach to determining. I'm like, thermodynamics. Therefore, and it's like, Sam, we're
no, I
doing
like it.
magic. Thermodynamics in the rear view half an hour ago. So
No,
yeah,
no, we just don't fully understand the laws of thermodynamics in the presence of ether driven magic.
yeah,
Um,
insufficiently described. It's perfect.
yeah.
It's great. It's lovely.
So we'll develop that. But I like the idea of leaving out the, not having the opposed dragon type in there. And
Yeah, I mean, I think like they, in what sense are they opposed now that all of them are mutually exclusive?
right.
So we get not only to confound previous magic system things by doing our own thing, but further maybe shake up the elemental thing.
Hmm.
Things aren't opposites of other things.
Right. And I get to do some of the weird healing transmutation shit with fire that I want to do and not have it just be fireballs. Yeah.
Very, very possibly, depending on what other aggregates you take and how well you convince a GM.
I'm very
The
tempted.
sophistry system is
I'm
fun.
gonna I'm gonna just put the word quiet there with fire. Um, I don't know. It may be unimportant or need to be changed. I just want to sit with that for a minute.
Okay.
What else? What else are we looking at?
Let's see. Um, oh
Was-
yeah, that had inverbinated, hadn't it?
Yeah, freeze turned into a verb. Chill.
Nice.
I don't like that word anymore.
What? Oh.
um, chill is good, right? Because it doesn't have to be frozen, right? Maybe we're just making iced tea, and it's just cold.
Okay.
I don't know, but yeah, if we're scanning for nounification, um, we could even call it cold. Yeah,
Hmm. I'd be less inclined, but
less inclined to call it cold.
I mean, I think in both like water can be ice. If chill, I'll tell you wind chill immediately. Like that's the thing. There's
Mm,
it's a little less water, cold or chill. Those are
sure.
not water specific, whereas ice actually is
Although
about water.
wind chill is experienced because you're evaporating moisture from your, you know, no, the air temperature is colder when it's windy. I know that. Yeah.
It's
It's also, we may see some overlapping, like it's called cold in water and it's called chill in air. And, you know,
it
uh,
it very well could. Um my intuition is that because these are the mutually exclusive types, we want as distinct a set of permissions for each one as possible. We want to cover the maximal space,
yeah.
which probably involves minimal overlap between them. Which is probably why I'm grasping for specificity.
Okay.
Um,
Well, do you want to return to Geish and see what feels right?
um, hmm. So this brings back to what are the gauges of water? What is
What can water not do for you? Hmm. Water cannot compress. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. This is very important. I meant to highlight this earlier. I am gonna hang my light on it now. Prince Vidal uttered the sentence, "So it seems Jason is right," and I think that tonal interpretation is correct. So it seems Jason is right. Most liquids have limited compressibility. Water is effectively incompressible. The forces necessary to compress it even a little are far greater than that for gases or solids. Like it feels like Prince is so disappointed that I'm correct. And I'm entirely ascribing that without any note to do so. But um we're all used to Sam being the correct one. Okay.
I didn't take a stance. I had a question.
No, I know. But we're used to Sam being the correct one. And we're used to me being the one who makes wild statements that may or may not turn out to be true. And I like that. I'm sorry if I ascribed any particular tone to that you didn't imply, Prince.
Okay. I understand the nature of the distinction. Got it. Um, because you were talking about compressibility. I was bringing pressure. Compressibility is the relative volume change for a given amount of pressure.
Yes. Yeah.
So they are related, but and so that something can be high pressure and that does de facto result in compression is true. That it requires substantially more in the case of water
Yeah.
than for other liquids, it seems, is also true.
Yeah. But like if you boxed up a cubic foot of water at the bottom of the Marianas Trench and brought that up, uh the expansion I think would be very, very tiny. Is that the right term?
Uh that would be what is implied,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Anyway, no, it's
All
neither
flows
here
are
nor there.
compressible. Flows are usually treated as being incompressible when the Mach number is smaller than zero point 0.3.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna have fun later.
I've dropped Sam
These are
into
fun
a rabbit
questions.
hole.
I mean, look, I'm not deep in these are fundamental like these are very basic questions of a field I spend a very little time in. I'm not in physics. It's a completely different domain.
Okay.
Um
I've
that I
spent more
occasionally
time in
touch on.
physics than anything else,
Um
so because
so
physics didn't inherently conflict with the wild religious shit that I grew up with. So I was allowed to stay in that class. Um, I was in one of those that pulled me out of health class in middle school and high school. So um,
I understand that at an insufficient level of resolution, one might see these domains to be non-interrelated.
well, yeah. I was allowed to study physics. That's the
Right. The
component
notion
of
that
it.
this might in some way give rise to interactions between matter that are of high levels of sophistication. Don't worry about it.
My religious upbringing did not make sense. I will say that. I'm sure lots of people's did, but mine didn't.
You know, who
Um,
among us has a perfectly coherent knowledge system? Not I.
uh,
Um,
I want to get a gauche in each category before we go. Speed round,
oh
uh,
shit.
which
Okay.
we can certainly change later and will.
Yeah.
Um, let's go. Ether Geish.
Um,
Physical harm.
Clarity.
Clarity. Now, I don't think we're using ether to mean mystery anymore, right?
No, but magic
Okay.
is insufficiently described science. It is by its nature as yet unclear.
Mm. Okay. Or understanding? Could we put that?
Those are different ideas, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't mean
What
them
distinctions are you looking
interchangeably.
to make?
I'm looking to say, well, the clarity to me feels like it could be applied to I'm trying to see a long distance and I can't using ether. Um whereas you don't strictly mean perspicacity, you know, like I think you meant in relation to questions of existence. And I like the idea that ether cannot bring understanding. It might bring you knowledge. You might learn something. You might be able to see something and detect something, but it does not bring the understanding of that thing.
Okay, acceptable.
Okay. Because I also like the idea that ether might embrace detection, right? Of like detecting things. Um,
Mm. And so I like that it won't come with understanding any of it.
yeah.
It therefore will be useless for clairvoyance,
Yes.
which is appealing to me.
Yeah. Like
Oh,
remote viewing, yes, but reading their mind. Well, even reading their mind, like, oh,
no, no. Like I would say absolutely. Like, mm, we will fight over that later.
yeah, or define. We
I
will
don't know that I'm
define
gonna
it
hold
later.
with detection later.
Okay. Okay. Great. Um. Okay. An air geish. You know, like.
Stillness.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Earth.
Mm, I'm not the one with the time limitations here.
I have time. I'm at the library today that I could walk to if I wanted to, so I have a little extra time. Um. Just so everyone knows, we'll be wrapping up in the next 10 to 15 minutes because I have
Yeah,
to
we're
go
just
to work at a
this
library.
is the speed run. Yeah,
I
no,
am a
we're just
local
gonna play
library
chicken
worker.
until we do, I guess.
Yeah. Although space, no, because caves and underground, I like that. I don't want to exclude that. Earth, what's the word for like gentleness, precision,
Yeah,
something
no,
like that.
gentleness is fine.
But like maybe it could be gentle, but it's not going to be precise.
Gentle is fine. I like
Yeah.
gentle.
Okay. But
Because
gentle,
precise can be throwing a pebble at you.
right, right. But I need
That's
a
precise, but
noun.
it's not gentle.
Yeah.
Gentleness is a noun.
But gentle is not.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's an adjective.
Yeah. Um, what about a hot permission for Earth?
Um,
Strength?
yeah,
Does that feel like a thing that we want as a permission?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Could mean lots of things. And nature?
Nature, let's see.
Nature. Mess. We love mess.
True. Health.
Um, health? Yeah. Easy. Easy dunk.
Yep.
Death, machine, purpose. Oh, I love all these gesh. Also, we don't have to be limited to 3 gesh or 6 permission or however many permissions we're going to do. Like, it doesn't have to be exactly the same.
No, it absolutely doesn't. Um, I think 3 limitations is a good place to start. I
At
think
least 3,
permissions
yes.
kind of depend on the overlap that you're willing to tolerate. Higher overlap, more permissions.
Right. And I would say 6 to 8 permissions probably.
Which is roughly the number
Yeah.
in that respect, where
But what about a water geish?
mm,
Breath.
glub glub
Oh yeah, fish breathe. Yeah.
glub glub.
It actually might be really important to be able to breathe underwater. um well, see, Steffi, I think that's
Restriction.
where we what
Restriction.
restriction,
If
water.
we're imagining compressibility and we're thinking about in
Oh,
fluid state how it
yeah.
it can't be restriction.
Yeah.
And you couldn't make like a water like you couldn't bind someone up
Right. I mean,
kind
you
of
could
idea
with
in your magic.
I mean, if we're saying we could make ice with it,
Well, and again, geish being things that you possibly could think you could use that you actually won't be able to.
yeah. Um okay.
And if I think about nature, there is no form of ice that I really would interpret as restrictive, right? It's
Really?
just there in a big old blocko where it's not mostly.
Well, it seems like boats get stuck in it all the time.
I said in nature,
Oh, in nature.
right?
Right.
It broadly speaking not restrictive as a thing in itself.
Right. Because things that are native to a very cold place have adapted to that.
Or they're not trying to go through
Right.
like if you're trying to ice break, yes, you might have a bad time. The ice is not what's
Right.
creating the
But
obstacle there.
polar bear's not. Polar bear's just like, yeah, this is nice like this. Thank you. I don't need to change anything.
Right, so
Um,
it would only be from a different sort. And yeah, then we go to yeah.
okay.
Okay.
And just for chat, I think what we're trying to do is avoid a geish that is specifically another type of dragon. Thematically more than anything of
We're
like,
trying to see if we can populate geishas without doing it. It's like
yeah,
a bonus difficulty level.
yeah. And you might say, okay, well, I'm going to use water and speed to dry off, to like pull the water out of my clothes, right? Because that's not what these clothes are not made of water. So please go away now. you know, and if I have mastery over water and I can't pull the water out of my clothes, I'm going to be mad.
True. Very true.
um, so do multiple people then have a way to dry out their clothes? Certainly. Oh,
Big whoop.
technology is could be a great gauge for water as well. Um, most technology interfaces poorly with water.
See, and that's ultimately going to be a strong critique for even including machine in nature.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
Because
Machine is the
all
wrong word.
of these are going to you're going to be able to make a strong argument that any of these is not going to play nicely with technology because they're elemental.
Yeah.
Come on, we believe. Chat believes you can get there. You can get there. Come on. Yeah, she did it. What a good baby.
Yeah. Cool.
I know you're very proud.
Also, I would be very curious to hear someone's argument for using water with relation to technology in not trying to destroy it. I'm like,
Oh, water mill.
no. I mean
Steam engine.
electronics. I mean electronics.
Right, but
Specifically.
that's different.
That's why we can't put technology there or tools or machines, because a water mill is a very effective piece of technology that doesn't work without water. But yeah, that's
Yeah, you could say electricity or lightning. I think would be valid gauge.
yeah, yeah,
Because now it's kind of not like the electricity is no longer controlled in any meaningful way.
electricity. Yeah,
Is it conductive? Sure. Again, every gauge you can make an argument. The whole point is
Sure.
to put some block on our bullshit sophistry because that's the
Conductive, but
temptation of the
poorly
time.
controlled by water. You
Right.
know,
It is the very fact that it's conductive that wrests the intended control of a circuit.
right. Um, okay, cool. We have something down.
Yep, for pretty
Uh,
much pretty much everything.
I'm gonna look for someone to raid.
All right.
You want to tell the folks what you got going on?
Yeah, I'm dating everything. I know it's a lot of things, but I find myself quite determined nonetheless. Um, you can find evidence of such action on twitch.tv/delevely, DELEVELY, going live tomorrow 9 a.m. Pacific daylight time. Yeah.
Awesome. I feel like you got a lot more than that going on.
Nah,
Also,
don't worry about it.
science reporting. Anyway, everyone go follow Sam because there's a ton of stuff going on. And they're doing really cool reporting and communication, science communication work. And if you're not following them, I don't know what to tell you. Like that's
I'm on a big backlog on my YouTubes, which is why I've been so quiet. I'm still doing live science every week that I can get my shit together.
Have you heard about
Um
Artemis 2, Sam?
and I try to cover things that you wouldn't have heard in other circumstances. So
Mm,
while we've all heard of Artemis 2, what other science might you have missed? You can
yeah.
check out the VODs of that over on said Twitch channel. We talked about an analysis of 2,000 languages and what they found.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Um oh yeah, I'm Jason, just out here Jason and around. I have 0 Argonauts reporting to me. This is very disappointing. Um and you can catch me on Sunday evenings, 5 p.m. Pacific at Happy Jacks RPG. I've been running a long running campaign to rescue Karlach's heart from Zariel in Avernus. And we have just begun a combat with Zariel. However, there were 51 episodes before that you might enjoy. So, well over 150 hours of content there to keep you warm in these summer months. And yeah, that's. I hope you find something there that you like. Also, I stream on this channel somewhat. I like to play games that are hard and I die a lot. So there's that. Speaking of die a lot, I made some new friends over, of which McGurky is one who I met recently. So we're gonna go raid into McGurky, who's playing Dead by Daylight, and is a Dead by Daylight creator, which I think means making Dead by Daylight levels and stuff. And so it's not a game I'm particularly into, but maybe it's something you're into.
Yo,
And
if that deep ocean water were brought up to the surface, you'd look at like a 1.8% increase in volume.
1.8%. Wow,
Yeah,
that's tiny.
it's really not substantial. Or it's
Wow.
the other way, like increase and decrease percentages. But yeah, teeny tiny. There you
That
go.
is
Compressibility of water. Let's
teeny tiny.
go.
Cool. That's cool as hell.
Now y'all can go forth and watch some Twitch stuff with some
All right.
science in your belly.
Take care. Say hi for us when you get over there, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye.